Many believe that Russia's president wants to return to what they refer to as the glory days of the old USSR with the current invasion going on in Ukraine. Well, my first guest has been using the art of film to educate people what life was really like in Russia during those years. Joan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What sparked your interest in really kind of learning and creating content related to the old USSR?
I used to work for the LA Times, and in the early 80s, they sent me to New Delhi, India, to interview the fortune teller of the great Italian director Federico Fellini. And after I interviewed him, he took my hand and he said, "You're going to marry a man from a strange country." So the LA Times sent me to a lot of strange countries, and I kept wondering where was, Mr. Right. And then they moved me to Rome, and the Robert Redford of Russia defected to Rome and was staying at the home of a common friend. So that's how I met my husband-to-be. He was a top Soviet movie star who had decided that he couldn't take it anymore in the Soviet Union. He didn't want everyone making life decisions for him all the time. He didn't like the fact that every time he wanted to leave the country just to promote a movie or to make a movie, he had to get permission to leave. Not only a visa to get into whatever the country was, but a visa to get out of his own. And so he figured out a way to get out, and he illegally crossed a border into the West and came to Rome. And that was the beginning of a whole new phase of my life that lasted for 32 years. Very amazing, unbelievable business opportunities. And when he passed unexpectedly in 2017, he left me an autobiography he'd been writing for 3 years with the list of 60
wow.
people in 8 different countries who I should interview in order to fill in the gaps. But I grew up in filmmaking, and it was pretty clear that I should film the interviews, in part because nobody was getting younger or healthier. And at the end, it definitely was a documentary. So I put it together, and it's been going to film festivals around the world. And then suddenly Russia invaded Ukraine, and everyone, now they wanted to know what was life back in the old Soviet Union that Mr. Putin seems to want to return to. And Oleg's story fits the bill.
Joan, first of all, what an amazing story and journey you've had. I had no idea, just first of all, to get to travel with your work and then meeting your husband, which has led to the work you're doing now. Let's talk about your current film that you're working on, that you're promoting. What's dive a little deeper if you can for me and kind of talk about that story.
So it's about my husband, and he was born during World War II on the outskirts of Russia. His mother was a school teacher, and on the day that the Nazis invaded, she joined the partisans, which made her an automatic member of the Communist Party, and sort of more elite than others. And after the war, she was sent to Mongolia with Oleg to teach the children of Russians working there. And then she was sent to Leipzig in Germany, where they had turned a printing press into Cyrillic, which is the Russian alphabet, and reprinted copies of books that had been destroyed during World War II. So, and then they came back to Russia, but that gave him sort of a different attitude towards life than other Russians who were never allowed to leave the country. He had this sort of both Western values and the idea of traveling. And he always wanted to be an actor, believe it or not. As a young boy, he used to go to the movies and see American movies that the Russian soldiers had captured from the Nazis.
Interesting. And that is so fascinating.
Who knew, right?
Right. No.
So he was very influenced by that.
Yeah, and your husband, I was just going to say, your husband has a unique perspective, as you were saying, growing up in this environment where most people can't leave the country, but because he's a movie star, he was granted that permission and got to experience, at least on the trips, got to experience that Western culture. So clearly he saw both sides of it, which begs the question, Do you think with everything that's going on that you see in the current world, people in Russia right now is being reported that they're getting a different side of the story that seems to be in the DNA in Russia, isn't it?
I personally think it's a generational difference. The older generation, when the Bolsheviks inherited the Soviet Union, it was a largely illiterate country. And a lot of them had been slaves only 50 years before. So communal apartments were okay, bread lines were okay, not being able to leave the country was okay. But then everything changed. The Soviet Union ended, and the new generation, they grew up in a different way. I mean, for them, they can say, until recently, they could say, oh, let's go to Spain for the weekend and get on a plane. Or they could say, oh, have you seen that new designer bag? Let's go to the mall and buy one. And that's all over.
Right.
For now, anyway. And a lot of them, but this is new generation, they have VPN, and so they're able to actually see the same news that we do. And they know it's not what's on state television. But the older generation, they watch state television, and that's what gives them the feeling so far that they're doing the right thing. But they don't really know what they're doing. They all tell me, oh, there's a peacekeeping force that was sent into, Crimea to take care of what the Ukrainians are doing to the Russian-speaking people in Donbass. No, that's not what's happening.
Wow. We got less than 90 seconds left. Let's talk about the film. Where can we see it, or what's the efforts to get it out there? Because I want to see this film. It sounds very fascinating.
So we've been on the film festival tour for a year, winning a lot of prizes, which is very exciting. And we are now trying to finalize a deal with one of the big distributors in this country, or broadcasters, let's say. So hopefully, I can send you an email in a couple of months and say, turn on your television and watch Oleg.
There you go. Well, we'll have to have you back when you can announce it so we can talk about the film. And as you alluded earlier when you were talking there, it's like, this is a passion of yours, and it's been a passion for a while. Clearly, it's a personal project for you, for the legacy of your husband, and then to have everything go on in Ukraine at the same time, it's just an interesting timing. Joan, I appreciate your time with us tonight, and we had your website up there, so we'll give a chance for someone to go check you out again, and we'll have you back on when the movie's available, so we can tell people where to watch it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Interesting topic. And this is something that is in the news. We're going to be talking about it for the next few weeks. And just an interesting perspective there. You're watching Create, Build, and Manage. We'll be back right after this.